After so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear, I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah.
Peace and love. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. I am Brother Frank, and I'm with former political prisoner
Abdul Haq Islam.
October is Martyrs Month, and this is one of a few series that we're going to be doing, recognizing martyrs and recognizing them more than just their sacrifice, but the ideas and the fact that they lived out those ideas, right? They didn't just know something was wrong. They made a serious evaluation of the situation at hand, and then they decided that they was going to take a position. Today we focus and we honor revolutionary, iconic revolutionary Ernesto Che Guevara, right? So one of the quotes that he had that he's very famous for is that he said, "At the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love." And I think that that is a motivational for revolutionaries everywhere. And when we talk about him and his contribution to making a more humane world, we have to really be grateful for what this comrade was willing to do. You know, he's pivotal to the Cuban Revolution and revolution who overthrew the dictator of Batista. And so today's discussion, we're going to deal with that. Brother Abdul Haq Islam.
Yeah, peace and love. You know, we are grateful for our martyrs, you know, who lived as examples, inspiration, you know, gives a great feeling of strength, you know, in that they have charted a course which has brought forth successes. So we know what type of behavior, what type of actions will be successful, you know. So, you know, we know that when we're on the right path. Brother Che Guevara, you know, talking about martyrs, and of course, one of the first ones come to our mind is Brother Che Guevara, Ernesto Che Guevara, a unique brother being into medicine and guerrilla warfare at the same time. You know, one who had not studied his history might find this confusing, but it ain't confusing because being into medicine, he had compassion for people, to heal people. He had a heart, he had a love for the people, and in seeing the results of invasions by capitalists, for example, in Guatemala, to see the results of the devastation and the disaster wreaked upon the people in Guatemala, you know, he acquired a great feeling of distaste and anti-Americanism, you know, uh, informed by his Marxist-Leninist ideology. You know, he was a brother of great will. You know what I'm saying? A brother who believed that human beings can do anything, you know, and he put this to work. You understand? Putting in the work, as we call it in the hood, putting in work on the battlefield as a guerrilla leader, you know, an expert in guerrilla warfare. In fact, years ago, I read his book on guerrilla warfare, you know, and he was an expert in this. He was fundamental in the liberation of Cuba. You know, he and the Castro brothers led Cuba for a while. He was Ministry of Industry, and very, very fundamental in fighting against U.S. machinations against Cuba. He traveled around for a while. His whereabouts unknown. That was discovered. He was in the Congo fighting. You know, he supported revolutions all over the world. You know, he ended up in Bolivia, where he was where he was on his own. You know, with no backup, and captured by the Bolivian army, and killed. And like I said, of all revolutionaries, you know, he is one that revolutionaries, uphold. He's an icon. You know, his picture, his very famous picture. In fact, I think that I look like Che Guevara. You know, right?
Yes, brother.
Okay. You know, his pictures on caps and T-shirts. You know, his words, his exploits. You know, are very, very well known among the revolutionaries, and this gives us, great confidence that by learning the lessons given by brothers like Brother Shea, without a doubt, we're going to win another. Talking about October 18th was John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry. You know,
yes, but one of the things that that I think that John Brown and Che Guevara embody is that they were willing to put their life to strike a blow at the powers that be. Right. So John Brown was doing it at that during his time, and Che Guevara was doing it at his time, because it's very important to understand that level of compassion, that level of commitment that Che was willing to put his life on the line to stroke a blow at imperialism, because he understood how dangerous it is then and it is now, right? So we have to ask ourselves the question: how deep is our love? How deep is our love for the people? Che understood that was motivational for him, and that's what he needed to do his work. Political prisoners are just the same, right? They're currently in prison because of their love, deep love for the people. When they come home, we got to organize to take care of them. You know, there's a committee doing that around former political prisoner Sundiata Acoli. There was a committee doing that for former political prisoner Sekou Odinga. And when we talk about Che and we talk about that love, when we talk about that commitment, we have to evaluate that psyche of a martyr, that psyche of a political prisoner, who know at any given time that things could turn out against them in terms of their fate, their destiny, but they yet and still they have this this feeling, this serious distaste for injustice, and they are not happy with just having conversations about what needs to be done. They want to take it further. They want to take organized action, right? Conversations can take you but so far. Actions could take you a whole lot further. But obviously, you have to think about what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. You don't want to waste resources, and you don't want to, have people killed. You know, if you can prevent it, or even incarcerated if you can prevent it. But our enemy, our oppressor, is strong, is wise, has been around for some time, and so they are equipped to deal with us in the manner in which they choose to at certain times. But Yet and still, we have to ask ourselves, how are things going to change? Are things going to change because our oppressor is compassion, or things are going to change because our oppressor has no choice but to surrender, right? To give us the power. Matter of fact, they're not giving us no power. We're taking the power, and we're taking it because we understand the essence of power. Che understood that. He understood the power of the common people. He understood the power of the working class. He understood the importance of fighting for a society in which the working class is empowered. And you have to do that by studying, right? Che was serious about studying. He was serious about writing what he knew from his experience, from his evaluation, and he put things to practice. He put those ideas to practice. And the political prisoner is just the same, right? You have a number of books being written by Mumia Abu-Jamal. He is giving you a historical analysis of concrete conditions, and he's letting you know how people need to respond. Che was the same way. He wrote books, as the brother Abdul Haq Islam said. He wrote a book on guerrilla warfare. I own that book, but I'm not quite sure if I finished reading it. But I know I did touch it at some point in terms of going through a chapter or two. I can tell from the writings that it was genuine, it was authentic, and it came from a place that was very sacred, right? It was deep, and he wanted others who were able to read the material to utilize that and to play their position regarding their relationship to their oppressor, right? And to being liberated. So in 2024, when we deal with these election years, we got to deal with, we got to struggle for ideas, right? These candidates, they say a whole bunch of things and throw us off course, but we know what's best for us, and we got to organize around that. And studying history, studying the Cuban Revolution, studying those who partook in the revolution, those who were foot soldiers and those who supported the foot soldiers. We have to look at their role and what was their agenda and how far did they go, and what do we owe them, right? What do we owe people like Che Guevara and our political prisoners? We owe them respect, and respect on theory and respect on practice, right? One and the same, but most importantly is the practice, right? Because anybody could say, you respect somebody in terms of their ideas, but what are you doing with those ideas that you claim to respect? If Che was for the advancement of the working class, what are you doing to advance the working class? Che was against injustice. What are you doing against injustice? Our political prisoners are held in captivity and unjustly, right? They are given revenge sentences, not just sentences. And we need to be bothered by that. And we need to commit ourselves to some organized action to free our political prisoners. When I say our, I mean those who stood for Black liberation, those who stood for the advancement of the working class. They belong to us. People who wake up every day and struggle for food, clothing, shelter. People who wake up every day and have to deal with the viciousness of racism systemically. So we have to be very clear about the fight that we have at hand. Brother Abdul Haq Islam, you have me by a couple of years, and during the time that you became first politicized, how were other revolutionaries dealing with the idea of Che, and how did they show solidarity with Che?
Yeah, well, when I was in the joint, Che was a well-known brother and a hero among those who were captured, particularly among captured revolutionaries. And one thing, the revolutionaries inside the prisons, many of them have studied, concepts such as guerrilla warfare, and in spite of the fact that the U.S. is seen as a so-called superpower, having the greatest military in the world, so most technically advanced and all that, those who believe in guerrilla warfare, as Che did and as he talked about, still have that undying spirit, that spirit, it cannot be broken. Like the brother said, believing that through an act of will, you can do anything. And this is through understanding, as many scientists and scholars of warfare have noted that a guerrilla army can defeat, a conventional army. You understand, such as the U.S. By many, many, many small units, many, many small cells has been described as many, many, 3 or 4 cells on a dog, which drives a dog nuts. And the dog, jumps off the cliff. This is what the guerrilla warrior is, in fighting against a standard type of army, and this belief that we can do anything, that we cannot be defeated, that nothing can defeat us, and Shay said, in line with guerrilla warfare theory, that the armed masses, that the oppressor cannot defeat the armed masses of the people, millions and millions and millions of people. When millions and millions of people get the idea that they are undefeatable, that nothing can stop them. You dig, through through studying people like Che Guevara, then this is going to make history. This makes history, and we honor our brothers and sisters, and we strike down, draw X through the thought pattern, that believes that you have to submit your will. You got to hear and obey, no matter how wrong it is, you got to say it's right, that you can tell the truth, and the truth is right now at war with falsehood, and revolutionaries uphold the truth, and we're marching forward in the spirit of Shay and others like that. Other martyrs of October were Maurice Bishop, Thomas Sankara, Samara Michelle. These are also people who died during October. So October is a month where we commemorate the martyrs. The martyrs are those who knew that what they was doing could cost them imprisonment, could cost them their lives. But in spite of that, and in believing in the ultimate victory, you understand, of the revolutionized masses, that we're going to win. It kept them fighting and fighting and fighting and giving their all to the struggle. So this allows us to be all we can be as human beings, and not being chained and shackled by false ideas, by imprisoning our humanity, in fear, in stinking cowardice. We stand up, and without a doubt, the mass is going to win, and we salute brother like Brother Shay. We say right on.
Yes, so last year I had the privilege and honor of going to Cuba, and I seen things for myself. I went to a number of places, and I seen Che's face in a number of places, and I felt a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment in terms of my political development, to actually go to a place that has an impact on advancing the working class. I think that we owe a lot of respect to the sacrifices that were made to by people like Che and Fidel and common people who lived throughout Cuba. And talking about Cuba, we have to show more respect and more solidarity. They've been dealing with a power shortage. Let's do what we need to do to support them.
Caused by the embargo.
Absolutely. Caused by the embargo. The embargo that's been...
The news don't tell you that.
Ongoing for over 60 years now.
Holding energy.
So if you do your due diligence and find out who's dealing with these situations with advocating for the embargo to come to an end, there are a number of organizations that are involved in that. Support those organizations that are bringing necessary goods to Cuba because they are in support of the Cuban people. We have to think about what it means to show solidarity and show respect, right? Sympathy and having conversations about injustice is one thing, but actually committing yourself to doing something, taking organized action is another, right? That is the seriousness of how you deal with an injustice, that you're actually being somewhere and doing something. And we have to challenge ourselves to do that. That's why when we come on this platform, we inform you about political prisoners, and we tell you that you need to take up the responsibility and write into a political prison. So the same applies to the situation in Cuba. You know, support those doing the work. See what you can do. See what you can offer. See what you can donate. Donate a dollar goes far. More than that goes even further. But do something, because there's always an action that you could take. You know, Che always had respect for those who took up the fight. You know, he said in his own words about those who had an issue with injustice and were doing something about it, that those were comrades of his. He also said that, you know, he wasn't a liberator, that the people liberated themselves. I think that he's identifying the essence of power, and we need to understand the power that we have as a working people. Just imagine that we go on organized strike. We extract our they extract our labor to make profit, but we extract our labor to attack their profit. So we have to just put a standstill to whatever we want in terms of things taking place. We have that power, and we need to be aware of it. We need to organize it, and we need to use it and do what needs to be done. So when we talk about Che, we need to teach our children about Che Guevara, who he is, and why did he do what he did, and how do we show solidarity and respect truthfully with that. I remember reading a book on Che and feeling the sense of, you know, being truly enlightening, or enlightening even further by this comrade, this brother's sacrifices. You know, Che was asthmatic, and he had serious asthma, you know, to the point where sometimes he passed. He fought in spite of that, right? He didn't let those that issue particularly restrict him from his involvement. He stood up, he fought, and then he knew that he was present for a purpose, and he was very committed to that. And Che evaluated the conditions of people to get to the point where he had seen enough and decided that he was going to do something about it. And that's the same situation with political prisoners. Last week, when we talked about the Virgin Island 3, these brothers got incarcerated in prison for lengthy periods of time, over 50 years now. And they examined what was happening. They were part of the Virgin Island independence movement. And now when the shooting occurred and the people died, you know, and other people were gathered and interrogated and tortured and made to confess. We got to look at you know, those brothers who were involved in the Virgin Island independence movement. You know, they had seen enough, and they were involved in a movement that was about moving their people forward, getting liberated from their colonial powers. And, you know, so the political prisoner and the martyr, they have that same seriousness and sharp analysis of concrete conditions, to the point that they're going to take action. You know, so Brother Abdul Haq Islam, you know, as we talk about martyrs and we talk about political prisoners, you know, how would you explain that to a child, right? If you are a parent and you're dealing with a child in grade school, because it's always important that we take hold of our children's education.
Well, I would tell them, you know, not to be weak, you know, to have character, you know, to always stand up for the truth, or stand up for what is right, you know, and even living in a criminal society, to not allow the criminal nature of that society to become your nature, you know, to be honest, be upright, to have good character, you know, and to believe in yourself, and to love your people, And I think that our revolutionaries are examples of that, And I would, encourage them to study the life of revolutionaries, to look at the personality traits of revolutionaries, and to honor that, a minute ago I was about to talk about John Brown. John Brown, his raid on Harper's Ferry was also in October. That's another incident that happened in October. He was the people didn't rise up and join like he had helped to, so hope to. So he was highly outnumbered. He had 19 people with him, and they were killed and he was hung. However, historians have said that John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry led to the Civil War, and it was through the Civil War, and black men with guns in their hands were very, very fundamental in the end of slavery,
Very interesting. It's always important that we look at an action of a few that sparks the actions of many.
Right. So, so we in 2024, we can do things to have tremendous historical results. We got to have spirits like shades around right now, because if we look at what's happening in the world today, we are living in a system where they send money and weapons and they know they're murdering babies.
Think about it.
Babies on fire, burned alive,
And what does that say about us if we just stand on the sidelines and watch that happen and we ain't a part of the organized?
That means we aiding and abetting genocide.
Organized protest.
Yeah, that we must organize, to put pressure on the government, to stop these injustices, So realizing that you are living in a society that denies food, denies medicine, denies water, that attacks healthcare workers, these are satanic principles. If you study what Satan worshipers, what they believe in, there's a deep correlation between them and the ruling class in the society. Satanists believe in completely overwhelming somebody, taking their will from them, crushing all their humanity, so they can get their way. And this is what is happening in the world today. And so we're living in this, so we must have revolutionaries among us, so that this enemy doesn't eat us alive.
Absolutely. The revolutionary keeps us protected,
right?
Making sure that we are aware of our power, and they do it because they set an example of what they want us to be and follow. Right, Che, he's out there doing what he's doing and making things happen, and he wants those who truly support him to follow suit, to let them know that, listen, I'm not going to tell you something that I'm not willing to do. I'm willing to do it, to let you know this is how it should be done. And my idea is that you're going to follow me if you're just as serious and you want the same results. You want a better situation, because he understood the viciousness of the imperialists, the viciousness of capitalism, how it puts a profit over people, and it doesn't stop nowhere, right? It's everywhere, and everything everywhere is the same formula, right? So you're either going to fight it or you're going to suffer from it being in existence. And that's why Che is so important to us, right? And we got to teach our children about people like Che Guevara, because these are real heroes, right? These are real superheroes, and they don't possess no superpowers. He bled just like us. He needed the same things we need, food, clothing, and shelter. So we got to look at his him as being just who we are, right? So that we know that to do certain things, you don't have to possess a certain physical stature. You just have to be willing to do it. You have to have that iron will, that that willpower that says, I'm not going to stop until the objective is met. And that was the beauty of Che Guevara. And in 2024, we can still talk about Che Guevara because what he did and his solidarity with people anywhere who were going through a situation that was very unfortunate to them. He decided that he's going to show some support in which way he could. So that's honorable, that's respectable. So we have to continue to raise people's awareness about people like Che Guevara. So that is what the month of October is the Martyrs month is about recognizing martyrs and making a personal assessment about what does knowing about a martyr do for you in terms of what you are committed to and committing to that because it's the correct thing to be committed to. So this episode is coming to a close. So I just needed to say what needed to be said because it's very important as we deal with these election years that we stay focused on what we need to be fighting for. We need to stay focused on protecting our rights as working class people, of making sure that we are struggling for our own self-determination. So Brother Abdul Haq Islam, your closing words?
No, I just say be strong, to learn to educate yourself, to study hard, and to be aware of the reality of the world. If you look in the movies and some of these fancy newspapers and whatnot, they'll have you believing in a world of make believe, but the real world is what's going on. And just what Shea witnessed when the CIA led U.S. forces, what they did in Guatemala, the genocides is happening now. This is the real world, so we got to be real, we can't live in a world of fantasy, a world of make believe. Thinking that you can love your enemy and, then develop a taste for your enemy's behind, and thinking that's the path, to getting some stuff done, No, we revolutionaries, and revolution is the way.